Michael, this is David Wallace from Dunder Mifflin Corporate calling the Scranton office about our patellofemoral research project. Just seeing if you found out about the effects of hip adduction, internal rotation, and foot eversion, and if it can determine if runners will develop patellofemoral pain. So can you just check in on that and get right back to me?
So, in this study, there were 400 female runners and they went from 18 to 45 years old. The inclusion criteria included free from any current injuries, they were rear foot strikers, and they ran a minimum of 20 miles a week. The exclusion criteria included patella tendon tendonitis, fat pad syndrome, or if they had IT band syndrome, they also could not have prior patellofemoral pain. Roo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Good afternoon. This is Creed Bratton with www.creedthoughts.gov.ww/creedthoughts. Now today we're going to be talking about the real reason Trump won. The real reason is that he's 1,000 squirrels in human suits. What? Oh, we're not talking about that. Oh, that's right. We're going to be talking about the gait analysis today. Now the gait analysis was done by putting a bunch of sensors on the foot and the leg. We got 2 on the foot, 2 on the ankle, 2 on the knee, 1 on the greater trochanter, and then another couple on the hips. Now these were all to guesstimate where the knee, foot, and hip were in space while these people run across a force plate. And now this sensor data was run through a low-pass 4th order Butterworth filter. What that means is it was low and it was flat. So data looks like this.
2 years of time was an adequate amount of time to develop the study, especially considering the population being followed. Active runners with specific mileage per week. Participants were tracked over 2 years and then reported any running-related injuries and monthly mileage. Patellofemoral pain had to be clinically diagnosed by a physician or PT or AT, and symptoms were related to patellofemoral joint, not to any other structure. Patellofemoral pain had to be present for 2 months. Had to be related to running, and participants divided into patellofemoral pain and non-patellofemoral pain groups.
Hey, so my name is Toby, and I'm going to be talking about data and results. So for our data, we needed to determine if a patient was diagnosed with patellofemoral pain. In order to do this, we needed to audit the diagnoses made by clinicians and make sure that their pain was caused by patellofemoral pain and not other bodily structures. We also had to make sure that they did not have previous episodes of patellofemoral pain, hip or knee injuries, and also their pain had to persist for 2 months and had to be caused by running. Also, in the statistical analyses, we used SPSS, which is a software program. We used independent t-tests, and our kinematic variables of interest were rear foot eversion, hip internal rotation, and hip adduction. Data curves were time normalized and averaged across 5 trials per person. And I
Toby,
think this is...
no one cares. Literally no one cares.
Good morning, honey.
Morning.
I just dropped CC off at daycare.
No. We need to talk about selection bias. Selection bias did not occur in this study. This is due to participants being selected and having to meet inclusion criteria such as running 20 miles a week, rear foot striking, no injuries, and they must have patellofemoral pain for 2 months.
Well, I guess I'll talk about performance bias then. Performance bias did not occur in this study. The same landmarks were used for tracking, and the participants wore the same shoes throughout the study.
Oh boy, I'm really excited for everybody to try my chili today! Oh no!
Did detection bias occur? This is false. Concerning the diagnosis protocols by the clinician had to include a determination that the symptoms were related to the patellofemoral joint and not another structure. Therefore, detection bias could not have occurred.
The article does not specify if attrition bias occurred, so it's assumed that all 400 female runners completed the study. Shocker, because women are superior. If only Ryan could recognize how great we are, then we could be the next Beyonce and Jay-Z. Our kids could be named Kombucha and Sunflower. We could shop
All right,
and
stop.
travel the
Cut
world.
her off. Cut her off.
So what statistical analysis was used for the study? Before we answer that, let me break down what an independent and dependent t-test is. An independent t-test is where two distinct groups are each tested once, and it determines whether there is a statistically significant difference between the means in the two unrelated groups. On the other hand, a dependent t-test is where one group of participants are tested twice, and it's going to determine whether there is a statistically significant difference between the means of two related groups.
Thank you, Oscar. The researchers used an independent t-test, but they should have used a dependent t-test because the subjects were age and mileage matched compared to the limb with PFP and a control limb with no PFP. Obviously, they did not know what they were doing, and we could have done a much better job.
Why waste time? Say lot word, with few word do trick. Study strong by using more math, likelihood ratio, rock curves, much information over much time.
All right, everybody. Conference room now.
As assistant to the regional manager, I have called this meeting to discuss the merger between Dunder Mifflin and Shrew Farms, and to try to discuss.
Yes, stop.
You- you
Dwight, get up. Dwight,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sorry. Angela, Kevin, you know who you are. All right, so to go ahead and get into this meeting, why I call this meeting, because I am the boss. So just gonna go ahead and explain how a physical therapist can apply the study findings to clinical practice. And a PT could assess these parameters and focus on a strengthening or gait retraining program to correct them. And this data may be helpful as a prevention program or as an intervention program.
On the count of three, everybody push back on them. 1, 2, 3.